All right, what's up, everybody? Looks like we got some people popping in here. We're live on the Where to Hunt podcast. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you hate one of those and you love another one or whatever that looks like for you, you got plenty of places to go listen. Before we get started and bring our guests for the day, I'm going to do my shout out to my favorite coffee company. I just guzzled a whole giant Hustle cup of it, Backwoods Grind Coffee. I will say one thing about them. If you go to the grocery store and you buy any coffee that you didn't grind yourself out of the bag, sometimes it can taste stale or old, and that's because it's old. So one thing I love about Backwoods Grind is they actually will grind your coffee the moment you order it. Maybe not quite literally, but you order it, it comes through, and then they grind it up for you before they ship it off, and they'll even grind it based on how you're going to brew it. So I always say a great way to get started with them is try their 3-pack sampler or their 6-pack sampler. And if you want to save some money when you do that, you can go ahead and enter in code W2H podcast, and you'll get yourself 10% off. All right, so we got a whole bunch of dudes on the show with us today. Some guys with Akern Outdoors. We got Lance Brown, Ethan, and Dustin. And I didn't get your guys' last names, but that's okay because I botched them anyways. Guys, what's up?
How's it going?
What's happening, brother?
I've just switched from coffee to scotch, so it's going to get real good.
Oh, it's gonna be a wild night.
I like that. We like staying wild here.
So I've had, I think, up to 8 callers on the show in the course of an hour, but I've never had 3 guests on at once. So as my wife says, I'm sorry, did the middle of my sentence interrupt the beginning of yours? I suspect we're going to have some interruptions throughout this because we can't see each other, but it's all good, guys. If you got something to say, chime on in.
All righty.
So maybe just tell us, whoever wants to go, who Akern Outdoors is.
Dustin,
That's a Dustin question.
Dustin,
right, you're on deck.
Well, so us as friends down here in Southeast Missouri, I've always had kind of like the passion to film hunts. Never really thought it would go anywhere. I just had a Sony Handycam, and I'd go film best I could. And then I remember one day filmed my buddy kill a deer, and it was like the most exciting thing I've ever experienced. Wrap that to a couple years later, Ethan done burned his buck tag up, and anyway, ended up coming up to northern Missouri and filmed me killing a good 8-pointer, and he got excited about it, and so we kind of all just, me and him and a bunch of other friends just kind of come together and said, let's do something, and didn't know anything about anything at that time, and we're just kind of slowly learning and just having fun with it, and I hope just to stay wild, you know what I'm saying?
The key word you said in there is have fun with it and learn. Like those are the two paramount things, man, that we need more in this industry than anything else is fun and learning, and to perpetuate that as much as possible.
definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when we first started this thing, I remember telling everybody, I said, look, guys, we're going to have fun with it, and if it stops being fun, I'm out. You know, I don't even want to do this no more, so.
And so far, you're still doing it, so it sounds like you're having fun.
Oh, yeah. We try to have as much of that as we can.
Hell yeah, fellas. Well, real quick, so Lance, you and I met, and you got to see how much of an okay hunter I actually am, or at least okay bow shots. I stuck.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. I thought I didn't get that arrow back. I bought some more.
I was in the same boat. I think it was on the same target, actually.
Oh, I think, yeah. Did you? So I shot, I think, over it, and then I was trying to find my arrow, and you're like, "Is this one yours here in the tree?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's."
Oh yeah.
Put my head down.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, the one I hit was just that little sapling next to the 14 ring. So
yeah.
Trying to get it in there.
That's funny. Well, anyway.
But yeah, that was
a fun day.
Definitely a good time.
Shout out to
For
those
sure.
guys over there, especially Kurt for putting most of that together, and then Steve, he's around, right? He's round. He was there.
He is. Yep.
I feel bad giving him
Yeah, it was
shit,
a lot of fun.
But that's what they do,
Oh,
right? He's like a
to.
punching bag.
That's all they do. Yeah. He's the butthole of the podcast, guys. So.
That and friggin'
The
Mr. Mullet,
podcast,
Eric. 2 Erics don't make a fucking right, I guess. But I'm bald. He's got a mullet, so I think between the two of us, we make a pretty decent-looking dude, maybe.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
Lordy.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun after finally listening to you guys for so long, and then meeting up down there and finally getting to put a face to the voice, So it was a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure I didn't meet any of your expectations, but.
Oh no, I didn't have no expectations going into it for anybody or nothing like that.
So you guys are in Missouri. I was looking at a Google map of Missouri because I'm geographically challenged. So for those that are like me, you're right in the middle of Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Tennessee. And that's Missouri. And there's like this defined line of forest and then fields. So
Yep.
your guys' season's coming up and opening on the 15th of September. So we're about 2 weeks away or so, maybe a touch more than that. What does your season look like over there as far as getting started?
Who wants to go first? Ethan, you want to take it?
Lance, you're up.
I'm up? All right. As far as my season, this is my first year with Akern Outdoors. I kind of met Ethan online just scrolling through Instagram and seen a post where he had tagged his location at Poplar Bluff, and I was like, well, who's this? Because I just moved a little ways from Poplar Bluff. I'm about 30 miles from Poplar Bluff in Elsinore. I just moved there and didn't really know a whole bunch of people, so I was just kind of looking through stuff. Then we got to chatting and then met up to shoot bows at the bow shop, and that's kind of how we had met. But as far as my season, I'm going to hunt a lot of public ground around here. That's the majority of the hunting that I'll do. And there's a few private spots with some of these guys I'm going to go do. But it's mainly public, and we kind of just get the boots on the ground and do some scouting. And we're taking a boat out to go check out some public spots. But Missouri, you can't have cameras up, unfortunately. So
On public
we
land,
kind of
you
just
can't?
look for tracks. Yeah, correct. We can't have cameras on public land, so that's kind of a downfall. But it definitely makes it more challenging because you're more or less hunting signs and hunting tracks. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Makes sense. You don't have a good sense of inventory. What about you guys, Dustin and Ethan?
Well, I've got a few shooters on some private ground that I've just recently acquired permission on, and other than that, usually I got just thousands upon thousands of acres of government, and I just try to stick my nose in wherever it is. There's a few spots I've got picked out, but it's looking good. It looks like the Akerns are going to be real good this year. We've got so much rain down here that there's little lakes popping up everywhere, and I think the Akern crop should be good. So it's kind of going to be just get in the woods and try to think about the best place to be and try to see if some luck will come your way. So.
Who's next?
Ethan?
Yeah, this is Ethan. I'm a little bit different because I live on my farm and I hunt mainly private. So, and I kind of look at things a little bit differently typically. So, probably this season what I'm going to do is I'm going to chase around a bunch of these guys with a camera early, and I run the Cutting Link cameras on my farm, cell cameras, so I'll run like 10 or 12 of those on here, and basically what I'm doing is I've got all those cameras in my hot spots, and I try to stay out until the time's right, until I start seeing some shooters, because my farm really doesn't load up with bucks until at least mid-October when they start splitting up good.
Well, that's when the mosquitoes are gone, so like that's a great time.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to be behind the camera when the mosquitoes are going, so if one of them guys misses a buck, we'll blame it on the skeeters.
That's what I would do. That's probably legit. That's not even an excuse.
And down here in rice country, they get pretty big. It's a little bit of rice we have. So.
Well, one thing. So
yeah, that's
one of the. So there's comments that come through right from time to time throughout the show, and looks like Robert Campbell just asked a question for you guys that I do not know the answer to. He said, "Is it true you cannot film your hunts in Missouri if you're a non-resident?"
Oof.
You
You guys are residents.
Never.
You probably haven't had to think about it.
We've never heard of that.
First.
I don't think that's right. But
Yeah, because you see people everywhere come in and do that.
It wouldn't be hard to link up with some residents like you guys, right? If that were the case, maybe. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at just like the hunting shows, I mean, there's a lot of, hunting shows out there that aren't Missouri residents that are filming hunts. So I wouldn't think it'd be true.
Interesting. That's well, we don't know. I guess we'll have to do some digging into that, Robert, and get back to you and see what we can come up with, if anything. But one thing I wanted to call out was, I think, Dustin, you were talking about, the acorns, kind of the crop or whatever, and you guys really do say Akern. Like, that's how the name came about? I got to take a second to unpack that for a second, because the working class guys had me on their show, and they're like, dude, what do you say in Wisconsin that, like, we don't say in Illinois? And I'm like, bubbler for water fountain, time machine for ATM, which means take your money everywhere, TYME. And they're like, what else? I'm like, I don't know. And now I just heard you guys saying Akern, and I call it Acorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a Missouri thing. Yeah.
Ethan, you want me to tell them the story about how the name come about?
Fire away, brother. There's two different stories to it.
Okay. So this starts back in high school. Ethan, we just always say Akern. He was in English class. Well, the English teacher kept correcting him, saying that's not the correct pronunciation. Well, he flipped open the dictionary and looked, and the first pronunciation of it is actually Akern. And, that's just been a joke. We've always called him Akern, as we're growing up and everything like that. And then we just thought about it, and he said something one day about Akern Outdoors, and I said, there's a lot of deep meaning behind, like, that term, because, like, you walk out in the woods and you look at a giant oak tree. Well, that oak tree came from a tiny acorn, and didn't look very good at first, and that's kind of how we kind of see ourselves is, we come into this as just complete newbies. No one knows anything. And we really just see the potential of growth. Like, I think if you just get out and do what you love, I think you'll have success just doing it, just doing what you do. So that's kind of the deep theological meaning of Akern, but we do call those things acorns around here.
Yeah, I like the accent, guys. I got a buddy that lives down in Texas. And
we ain't got no accent.
Yeah, well, apparently I don't either, but it depends on who you talk to, right? But
yeah,
he's got these little girls, right, these daughters, and they got the sweetest, cutest little Southern accent. Like, Mama, I got hurt. And I'm like,
yeah.
Shit, can you, like, take my daughter for a little while and she can pick up that accent? Because that's adorable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can't beat that. If you go a little bit south of us, actually, then you'll really start hearing it more pronounced.
I got, like, close to a Yooper accent where I'm at, like, Wisconsin and, whatever. People
Minnesota.
say that. With the long O. So I think our topic of discussion, if we can skirt around to it, don't mind me, I'm just putting some more ice in my scotch, is hunting timber and big timber potentially. Like, you guys got that really dynamic state where you got that hard line of crops and then hardwoods. What are your big timber kind of woods and forests like down there, and how do you guys kind of approach that?
Well, like, go ahead.
Oh, I was just waiting. I didn't want to jump in and.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll give my take, and then I'll let these guys take a turn. But like, basically, what you got around here is just, I don't know. I'd almost go say there's millions of acres, right around us. Not a good guy with numbers, if you can't tell, but
me neither.
It's all woods, mountains, big rolling hills. You can go sometimes 10, 12 miles without seeing a field anywhere. It's just all woods around here. But that's you go a little south of us, and you start getting into more fields. But the thing about big timber that I've picked up and noticed a lot in my experience is just you got to know how thermals work and the wind and how it works with them thermals. And I still don't know anything about it. I try to learn every time I see them. I make a mistake and I see what happens. But the wind and the thermals are your two biggest things to hunt around here, and just kind of knowing how bucks will cruise these ridges and stuff like that, and just trying to make a best guess and try to hope it's right. But I know Ethan has another opinion I heard him say before, so tell him, Ethan.
Yeah, my big thing that my target, or I really like big river bottoms with big flats, and just because you can count on that river usually to pull your scent down it, especially first thing in the morning. If you can get up against that river, it'll pull your scent down that river. I learned that from a conversation with Grant Woods one time. And then another big thing I target is, if I'm going to hunt the hills, I'm going to find a big saddle, a big transition saddle loaded up with acorns. And that's going to be those are my go-tos.
And Lance, what about you?
I agree with Ethan. I do like to hunt them saddles and then ridges. I like to find those acorn flats, because out here there's not a ton of there's a lot of hay fields, but once you get deep into them woods, those acorns are crucial to them. And you play your wind and your thermals right, and you just catch them cruising from saddle to acorn flat to saddle to acorn flat. Once you kind of figure out that that's the two things that they're after that I have seen personally have come across, and they're traveling, is it makes it a lot easier to kind of get on them. So I would definitely say that the ridges and acorn flats are my go-to.
And acorns drop, right? Different trees produce acorns different years. So just because a tree produced last year, it might be, every other year or 2 years where it's going to produce again. And then they drop at different points in time in the season too. So I was just on a hike with my wife and daughter in some woods here in Wisconsin this last weekend. And my daughter picked up some acorns, and I said, "Oh, deer eat acorns." And she's 2, right? She doesn't understand much yet. And she's like, lunch, hungry. And she kept saying this over and over. And we just thought she was hungry. What she was trying to say is she wouldn't eat the freaking acorns, which she tried to.
Probably a little bitter.
Like a little scary 2-year-old that's a choking hazard, but she was taking chunks out of these things and gnawing on them. I'm like, okay. So, I told her deer eat acorns, and then she decided that she wanted to eat the acorns. Or the acorns. So,
I
we'll convert you.
I just thought of something funny if we can try on here, okay?
Yeah.
For the entirety of this podcast, every time you say acorn, just try to say acorn, not acorn.
I'll give it.
See if you can do it.
Let's see if you
guys
can do it my way.
We're going to call you out if you mess up. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Swap it.
When Akern said he has to take a shot.
Oh, well, there we go. Now let's make it a drinking game. P.S. If you're driving, this is not a drinking game you should be doing, but
be done in a minute and a half.
Holy crap!
Yeah. Okay.
So we definitely do have some awesome river bottoms down here. We got a Current River that becomes. I mean, I'm only about 5 miles from Current River, and you want to talk about some good looking areas for sure. It's definitely
hilly areas.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. That's another one other thing too that I'll point in is like if you follow like any kind of waterways around Missouri, whether it be a lake, a river, or something like that. I mean, a lot of times you will find big deer. If you have a boat to access it, it's just easy because you're sometimes going in on sometimes unpressured deer. Because there's a lot of spots on some lakes around here that you could just hop off in a cove somewhere, hop up on a ridge, and you're somewhere that a deer might not have seen very few people, so that's how you kind of access some of the unpressured areas around the area.
Yeah. Hey, Dustin, we went out a couple of weeks ago. About how far back do you think that is off the river to the nearest road?
Oh, it's a good mile, I'd say.
Just a mile, okay. I wasn't sure.
I'd say, yeah, if you go to the left, but we was back in there a good ways, but not, a lot of people won't walk that far.
No,
because then again, there are people that will.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from, I've talked about this a bunch on the show in the past, that it's, this isn't a real statistic, but this is just how I see it. It seems to be that you got to do 90% of your scouting is to get away from other hunters, let alone finding them where the deer sign is.
Yeah.
And I think that's getting harder and harder these days.
Yeah,
yes, that's
around here in this area too. Like, you know, I guess we've got so much public land that people can hunt. I always wondered that, you know, growing up. I'm like, why does everybody like up north come down south to hunt for gun season and stuff like that? I mean, just deer camps everywhere you go. I mean, there's just people coming down everywhere in gun season, and I'm like, what the heck? That don't make no sense. Like, the big deer are up north, but I think what it is just we have so much accessible land that people come down here and have deer camps with their family and stuff, so we get a lot of people down here, especially during gun season.
yeah.
It's kind of interesting because I got the same thing here in Wisconsin. The difference is a lot of people go up north. You know, and there's not that many deer up north. There a lot of the deer are down south. And, you know, but there's less, you know, populace down or up north than there is down south. So there's more land up north, significantly more.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting away from people.
You're getting away from people. You're going where it's easy to access, where there's thousands and thousands of acres. And, you know, some folks don't stay back. But when you're in the rural communities, like, you're not going to shoot a rifle, right? Because there's a lot of city ordinances. But up north, when you got those thousands and thousands of acres, yeah, you can do all that stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much kind of where we live. Hey, boo boo, can you go ahead? Sorry, my little girl wanting to hop in on the podcast, but
Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time. That's all good.
If you've ever heard the term hillbillies, like, that's pretty much the land we live in around here. I mean, it's just open woods. People shoot guns all the time. It's just that's pretty much what it is down here too.
I hope none of you guys own a banjo, right?
My dad.
Don't ask.
I tried one one time, but I can play the guitar, so.
That's funny.
And there's a lot of big deer up here too. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, I can think of a handful that's, you know, pushing 180s and bigger. So I mean, there's a lot of deer. And then there's a lot of big deer. You know, you might not have your numbers as far as like northern Missouri for as many big deer, but it's definitely a good area for sure.
Well, and let me drop in a point here too. Like, this is another thing we've talked about is, like, you know, northern Missouri, they're like, you know, I don't know, 85% ag fields, and then you got those little winding timber strips that, you know, deer have to use most of the time. Down here, it's just such a maze of trees that any big buck can skirt you at any time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just I don't know if that's the scientific reason or if there are more.
It's a needle in a haystack.
There are big ones down here.
Yeah.
They're just harder to find.
Yeah, so that's
and
funny.
Smarter,
I
think.
Like, we don't seem to have a lot of real big ones up north, but like a good buck up there is considered to be one of the best trophies you can get. A Northwoods buck is hard to come by. There's predation. We got wolf packs. We got cougars and bear and plenty of coyotes, not to mention all the hunters. So, like, with that much land, it is that needle in the haystack kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a different type of hunting. When you have that much ground to cover, you know, it's easy to – no, I shouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier to pick apart a plot of land that's in some sort of rural area, kind of like the urban hunting, like, oh, here's a plot, you know, it's X amount of acres. I can – kind of start to dissect this. Here's the access. Here's where hunters can go. Here's some water that I can cross or get a canoe on or a kayak, et cetera, right? And you can pick it apart a little bit and find the bedding areas and then go get boots on the ground and confirm. Up north, all you see on those maps is freaking trees forever. You know, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
You know, you can maybe look at terrain,
yeah.
But there's so many bluffs and bluffs and bluffs and bluffs. It's like they could be anywhere, you know?
Well, there's a patch of conservation around this area, probably about 30 miles away from us or more, called the Irish Wilderness. And, I mean, they call it a wilderness for a reason. I mean, I've had a buddy, actually a guy that's in the group, Kyle Nelson, he got lost turkey hunting out there one year, and he said he walked and walked, and it was almost starting to get dark. And finally he run up on an old boy's house out in the middle of the woods, and the guy drove him back around to his truck, and he said he was like 15 miles away from where they parked at.
Holy crap! That almost happened to me.
So,
once, you know, I was going the wrong direction just completely, and it must have been God, man. I swear, like I just happened to turn the right way to stop and take a piss, and I caught a glare of sun off the windshield of the truck, and I was like, what the hell was that? And I was like, holy shit, that's the truck. I was going the wrong way. I never would have found it. I didn't even know I was.
It's
there,
definitely
you know?
easy to get
Jeez.
turned around.
It's crazy.
It's scary. It'll fright you for a little bit.
And you take things.
Not too far
look at the
from.
woods differently when you're in that vast of a land, right? You start to actually like think differently. I think it's actually accessing like a different part of your brain, kind of like when you're working out, and if you throw on weight that's going to crush you, you're doing something different than if you're just going through the motions, you know, doing some bench press. You start to throw on some car level weight and you're going to crush yourself. You're trying differently. If you go into the big woods, I think you're accessing something different, more primal, that you're like, I gotta pay the F attention here.
Yeah.
It was,
Sure.
I was telling Ethan today, actually, I said it would be cool, like, to one year kind of do go to like a big, like the Irish wilderness around where we're at, and just take off walking, and you got your tent and everything else in your backpack, and you just camp where you're ready to hunt the next morning, go out and hunt, come pack up camp, kind of like you do elk hunting or something like that, you know, just kind of do an off-the-grid kind of hunt. I think that would feel pretty neat.
That's a good way to do it. You know, the Deer
That'd be
Hunter
a lot
podcast, Kevin Vistison with the Deer Hunter, he's out of Michigan, and he packs in like that for just whitetail. And they got some big woods in Michigan where he goes. It's beautiful. I don't know if you guys have seen his flick yet that he put out.
Yep, I got it last week, actually, in the mail.
He does a good job of capturing what I think is the quintessence of hunting. Like, he really does, even on his show, man. He gets it, you know?
Is that DVD you was wanting me to watch, Ethan?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I'd like to watch it. I watched just like a second of it when you turned it on. It looks like he does some good work.
Yeah, he's a good guy. We're having a watch party, so I haven't watched it yet. And I know he's working on a digital download because I don't have a DVD player. In fact, my computer doesn't even have a way to play discs, so I gotta go to a buddy's house when he gets back, and we're gonna check it out and drink.
Man, Ethan just had a bad weekend.
Double vision. That was too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
One of the guys, Robert, just asked in the comments, any good shine down there by you guys? You guys got moonshine? Are you that far south?
Yeah, I got a couple buddies.
Can't give away the secrets.
No.
Yeah.
No. Lips are sealed.
It's called connections.
Yeah.
Yeah. NASCAR. It sure is a NASCAR. That's how NASCAR got started.
NASCAR, yeah.
So,
oh, man.
I like the idea of talking about big woods hunting, dude, because it just is different. Like the way you have to prep for it, how you go out about your day, you know. And up here in Wisconsin, it gets, you know, we literally had what we called a polar vortex last winter. You know, you get mixing in some cold with some of that, you know, vast land, and suddenly you got some real serious shit you're dealing with. You know, for you guys down there in the south, I got to imagine your early season hunts come September 15th. It's still pretty damn hot down there.
Oh, hell yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Alt, actually, I remember last year we come in off the river, actually, on this one spot, and heck, we got out of the boat. By the time we walked all the way across the field to our stands, it was so hot that we was just like, screw this camo. Like, we're just going to crawl up in the tree with our T-shirts, and ended up having a pretty daggum good hunt that night. We seen a lot of deer, and we passed a bunch that just walked right by us. And, I mean, it was a cool experience, but, yeah, it was hotter than crap. I got a picture on my phone of just sweat pouring down my head right while we were hanging our stands.
So when it's in season, how do you guys deal with that?
Do what?
When it's in season, you're actually hunting. Like, how do you? Because scent control becomes a lot harder, and hopefully there's some wind. Right at that point, hopefully you can use that to your advantage. But like, I can't imagine what you do with the deer when you shoot and it's that damn hot. Like, you got to deal with that thing pretty quick and get it on some ice.
Yeah, you definitely have to act quick and hopefully make a good clean kill on them. Because I've had that happen a couple of times where you shoot a deer and you can't find it, and then goes into the night, and then the next day you finally find it. By that time, it's not any good for eating, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck.
That's why you got to shoot when they're walking towards the road. Hopefully they'll run that way.
Yeah.
That's the key.
I killed a doe last year. She did just that. I shot her and she ran back uphill towards the truck. I was like, heck yeah.
Start chasing her.
Oh yeah.
And I saw the video you guys posted recently. with the saddle, is that something you guys are trying out this year, or something you've done in the past, the saddle hunting? I know that's trending up right now in a big way.
This is my first year in the saddle. I just recently got my Arrow Hunter, the Kestrel Flex, maybe two weeks ago probably, and I've had quite a bit of time in it, practicing, climbing up and down, trying to make one trip up. That's the whole goal with it, is to be able to climb up and be there just in one trip. And it is challenging, trying different packs out and steps and platforms, but it's fun to figure all that out. And shooting from it's a lot easier than what I expected it to be. When I tried Ethan's saddle out his platform, just moving around, I knew it was going to be pretty easy, but it was actually, when I actually got up there with my bow and doing some shooting, it's a lot easier. It's about what I expected it. So a lot of fun for sure, but I'm ready to hunt with it.
And do you think you could do a long sit with one of those? Because I know you can just kind of sit up on the tree and kind of chill out there, but it just feels like it doesn't feel the same. I sat
all day, 7 sits last year in mine, and had no problems. I was more comfortable in my saddle than I was on a tree stand.
Especially to get that back supporter too. So
yeah,
that makes it a little more like a lounger,
like a lumbar kind of thing. Attached to the tree, or what? What's that like?
It's a little. Think of it as like a camera strap. I want to put it as plain as possible. Think of the cheap camera strap that comes with cameras. It's about 2 inches wide, and it goes around behind your back and ties in on your bridge. And so it's a back support that's kind of flexible, and it's like a neoprene back support. And you can lean back into it, and it's like you're sitting in a recliner kind of.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
I don't care if
it's pretty
good. What I like about it, and I like how you have so many different positions you can go to. You can stand up if you need to, and if for whatever reason you're getting uncomfortable, you can pretty much sit next to the tree, put your knees next to the tree, and a lot of guys are using knee pads or a cushion and they're bungeeing around it. But you're not just sitting there. You got, like a tree stand, you got a lot more options. That's what I really like about it.
Yeah, it seems to be the two biggest advantages of that, not to get on this topic, but like, why not, right? We're here. So is the packability of it. It's super lightweight, and the fact that you can pivot around an entire tree. You're not fixed. You got a dynamic stance.
Let me roll this for just a second, Lance.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was kind of on the fence about the saddle deal last year, and then I didn't even realize I did it. But on May last year, I got a text from Greg Godfrey saying I won one of the first tethered Manuses off the production line in a giveaway. So that's what got me going on it. And so once I got that in, I realized how efficient it was. It didn't come in till after our annual rut hunt. But just the swap from carrying a 25-pound lock-on stand, and I have asthma, and you can ask Dustin or any of the other guys that hunted with me last year up in North Missouri, I'd have to stop every 100 yards up there and catch my breath because I felt like I was about to die.
Yeah,
lightening that load down to from tree stand to saddle, I think I weighed my whole setup, and if I'm on private, I can use bolts. I got a tree hopper bolt kit, and I'm in the 8.5 to 9 pound range, and I can be 25 foot.
Damn.
Versus 25 pounds plus 12 pounds worth of sticks to get to 13 or 14 foot.
Yeah.
So it made a huge difference just on me walking around with my asthma.
Yeah, I will say last year, man, we had some weight on our back. I bet you we had every bit of 60, 70 pounds packed in with all the and that's another side trail thing. But when we started actually, getting cameras and stuff like that, and actually starting to pack them out there and just trying to do it, like it made you realize it's like, golly, you got to really want to do this if you're doing this and you're not making money on it, and but there ain't nothing else that I'd like. Yeah, it's just.
Now that's cool to hear, and additionally too, like you're not so like if you use a climber, right? You're pretty stuck to certain types of trees. If you use a hang-on, that's great too, but then you got to really pay attention to the bend and lean of that tree as far as where you're going to position that thing. I know Lone Wolf has done some cool things to help with the kind of adjustability of that, but there's only so much you can do even if you adjust it. Like you don't want to be hunched forward for 5 hours. So then you have the saddle stuff, and now any tree is an option at that point. I just got to think the linemen out there in the world that use these things got to be laughing at all of us, right? Like, man, I've been doing this for years. So we do have a caller in queue. I'm going to bring them on. Looks like they're out of Mound, Minnesota. It looks like it's screening their name right now, so we'll see who it actually is. Looks like it's John Prattville. So I'm going to bring him on right now. John, you're live on the Where to Hunt podcast coming out of Minnesota. How's it going, man?
Hey, I have a question for you.
What do you got, bud?
I know it sounds stupid, but have you seen something like I can swear, like, I know it sounds so stupid, but I was going hunting the other day, and I saw something that looked kind of like a bear, but kind of human, like something like Bigfoot, but it sounds so stupid. But
wow.
But the scariest thing is that, like, once I saw it, like, I had my friend with me, and he pointed at it, and I looked over there, and he started running towards us, and obviously I run, but this thing was fast. It jumped on me, and then it pulled.
Oh, goodness.
So I dropped that call. It sounds like they're talking about the wind. Look, guys, I'm really happy to be part of the first prank caller into the show. That's a first.
Hey, Bigfoot's real. Ask half our crew.
Dude, there's the Windigo, there's the Beast of Bray Road, there's Bigfoot. I got half a mind to believe that one of those damn things exists, not to mention the frickin' goat sucker, the chupacabra.
Oh, yeah. Hey, shout out
to
my old town. Shout out to my old town. There was a guy that was hunting some public land out there, and him and his son, they swear they see the Bigfoot. So I don't know. I don't know if Bismarck does have a Sasquatch in it, but they sure said they seen ones. I think they're real.
Well, I know one thing. If I ever see a Sasquatch in the woods, I'm gonna punch him in his mouth.
that's like Talladega Nights.
Just to say he done it. Just to say he did it.
Punch you right in the mouth.
Anarchy. I don't know what it is, but I like it.
See, me and Dustin believe in Sasquatch, but Ethan thinks the world's flat. So,
dude, if y'all don't know what the Windigo is, you gotta Google it, right? And you gotta Google the Beast of Bray Road. I am not kidding you. People have made some really shitty movies about this stuff. It's
the Beast of what? I'm writing it down.
The Beast of Bray Road. Look, if you get nothing else out of this podcast, Google the Beast of Bray Road and the Wisconsin Windigo.
I got them wrote down.
Ethan, I think we need to start a show finding Bigfoot.
I think that would be good.
Well, we need to get a hold of John from Minnesota again.
Yeah, he's got the spot.
He's tried to call in a few different times. I keep blocking him, so just gonna ban that caller.
I was with him until I said it jumped on him.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure what to think when he said he was hunting the other day, and I was trying to think of, well, he just said his season starts the 14th.
Yeah, what are you hunting?
So I wasn't sure. Yeah.
What is that? There is
I will
there's
say
like
he has a
there's a video on YouTube called the Michigan Dog Man. And maybe this is a question for Kevin with the Deer Hunter podcast because he's from Michigan. But if you Google the Michigan Dog Man, you're going to find some pretty interesting things. That's another one to Google. It's pretty freaky.
Have to check that out.
Me Me and Dustin share a YouTube account, and I'll be looking at his search history tonight, and it'll have all these on there for hours on end.
I can't wait for people to listen to this episode now and be like, okay, I've learned about the Michigan Dogman, the Wendigo, the Beast of Railroad, the Chupacabra. Like, dude, Sasquatch is old news after today's episode.
Sounds like whitetails are old news. We need to move in on some of these.
Can you imagine killing a Sasquatch? And you'd have, like, Remington, the bullet that killed Sasquatch. You'd be rich as shit.
Yeah.
I killed him
brought
out of
to you by
saddle.
Bush Light.
Yeah, brought to you by Bush Light.
Yeah, I cracked a cold one, and here he came.
Yeah, what Ethan was saying, though, about me and Ethan both share the same YouTube account. You know, I got a little girl, so a lot of times I'll be looking up just goofy cartoon stuff, and Ethan will text me the next day, "What the heck are you watching over there?"
I do have another
Or I'll be
caller, but I
looking
have
up
half a
music.
mind to believe that it's another pranker at this point. I'm a little nervous.
Go for it. We're all game.
Yeah, let's hear it.
They got to be blocking it. Let's see how it goes.
Let me finish my
You're
story.
live on the Where to Hunt podcast. This isn't a prank call, is it?
It raped me. Nigger.
Yeah, we're gonna have to edit that.
Oh, goodness.
All
Somebody
right.
take the marshmallows away from these kids.
Wow.
Does your mom know you talk with that
Mm.
Golly.
I regret bringing
No
that
respect.
line online. That was terrible. Hey, look,
You're gonna have to write that one down.
I've been doing this show
Well.
for live calls since March. That is the first prank caller. So I think we're making a dent.
Well, at least you know you will not accept any more Minnesota calls, unfortunately.
Man, Minnesota bringing up the rear. What is up with you guys? Holy cow!
Oh, goodness. You know what's funny about that, though, is I remember them days when I was a teenage kid and I picked up the phone book and a phone and just started dialing random numbers and just making up some crazy story.
Been there, done that.
But
That was a pretty
Yeah.
that was a pretty real thing as a kid, right? You'd pick up the phone. You would do that. Why would we do that? Kids are stupid.
I don't know. It's just,
We don't even have phone books now, so kids can't do that now.
Yeah, what one were
That's
you,
what we
you
talked
just
about the
Google
other
phone
day.
numbers?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I guess
Apparently
you
they
just
find
Facebook 'em.
podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about that the other day, growing up, me and Ethan was born in 89, so he thinks he's older than me, but he ain't. But anyway, just growing up, in this generation, like I remember when I was 15, I think I got my first cell phone when I was 15 and stuff like that. It's just like, I remember like before that, I was still, calling my buddy's mom's house and asking if he was there and stuff like that. And it's just, I'm sure for even older people than us, it's like 10 times difference, but it's just cool to see that generational change. And it's like, see what it's going. Sometimes it's just, it ain't worth a shit.
I tend to agree with you a little bit there. Well, look, let's shift gears a little bit. And, I know, Lance, I asked you to think about this at the beginning, but if you got a memorable hunt that has kind of come to your mind as we've been chatting here, I'd love to hear what that
yeah.
is.
It wasn't a kill hunt. There wasn't a deer killed, but I was probably 7, 8 years old, and me and my dad had went out, and we just sat on a trail. We're walking. He's shining his flashlight, and he finds a tree that had been cut down, and it had a big split in it. So he sat on one side of the stump. I sat on the other. He's watching one direction. I'm watching the other, and it's still pitch black out. You can't hardly see nothing. And as we're just sitting there, and it had rained recently, and so that was, you could really sneak up on something, or something could sneak up on you. And we're just kind of sitting there, and I'm about 2 foot, 3 foot from the deer trail, and I kind of start hearing something, and I'm just sitting there looking. I can't see nothing, and then I just see a shadow walk right in front of me, and my heart's pounding, and I don't know what to do. I didn't want to freak out. It kind of walked past us, and I tapped my dad on the shoulder, and I said, "Dad, a deer just walked by." He said, "No, that wasn't a deer. That had to have been something else. You would have known it was a deer." And I said, I promise it was a deer." And he's like, "Hang on." So he digs in his pouch and grabs his flashlight. He flips his flashlight on and points it up the trail. And sure enough, a deer walked 2 foot from me and didn't smell us, didn't do nothing. But I think that was one thing that really hooked me at a young age, was just getting that close to a wild animal, that, I don't know, it just really stuck with me, being able to get that close and personal with something. So
man, that's really cool.
That's my story. Yeah. I've never once been that close to another one, which I don't ground hunt now, but not saying that I wouldn't, but I don't really ground hunt now. But just the fact that if I would have thought about it, just stuck my arm out, I probably could have touched the thing.
That's crazy.
It was just really, really cool.
Heart's just freaking pounding. Like, what do you even do? At that point, you just got to enjoy the moment. You wouldn't even want to drop back or pull the trigger on something like that anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you guys, Ethan, Dustin? You guys got some memorable hunts?
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you. Any hunt with Dustin Witten is a memorable hunt.
I think, Ethan, me and you both agree, one of the best memorable hunts that I can think of is that time we got it done together. I mean, it like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I kind of feel like Ted Nugent here, like when you say, like, you almost come out of your, it's just like an unearthly thing. It just comes out. Like, to share that memory with a friend, it's just kind of something that you can't get anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? It is like a drug. So, like, I remember we got good pictures, photographs, and that's what just makes that sucker just like some of the best hunts, is just sharing it with friends and stuff like that. But that's probably the one.
Yeah, you smoking that deer and me turning around and you about to fall out of your stand. You're shaking and jumping up and down in that stand so hard, banging his head against the tree and screaming bloody murder. That was something. I thought he was going to shake the tree to the ground.
Did you get on film?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
we'll send it to you.
Can we go check that one on YouTube? Is that on YouTube? Is that live out there?
Actually, we haven't got it edited yet. Like, that's what we was joking about the other day. I just, like, Ethan had the footage, one set of footage of that week, and he put it on a hard drive and couldn't find it and then the other day I brought it up. I was like, "Hey, you still got that?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he just found it, and I was showing it to our buddy Alton that's in the group, and he's like, "Dude, is this not on the YouTube yet?" And I was like, "No, not yet." And he's like, "Why not?" He's like, "This is like the baddest hunt ever." I was like, "Well, I'm going to see what I can do here in the next couple of weeks." But yeah, that's a big thing about doing this YouTube thing. This is another side trail, but Ethan said it before. We all got kids and a family that we're doing, and a job. I work at a local factory around here, and heck, I may work 40 to 60 hours a week, depending on what it is. And just trying to set aside the time to, balance this between your family life. Like I said, like, I was new to everything. I didn't know anything about computers. I was just your normal click and peck, and trying to learn all that stuff. I remember I mentioned to Ethan the other day, we went out to hang a game camera, and I was in a stand last year, and it was calling for rain. And so I'm like, do I really want to sit through this rain? I ain't seen nothing all day. Or the wife and the kid are away. I can actually solely focus on learning Premiere Pro on the computer. And so I climbed down that day, went and made me a cup of coffee, and I sat down, watched a YouTube video that was like 4 hours long. And then ever since then, it's just kind of been a hit or miss, like, just learning new things out. But that's definitely what I love to do, And I think we all are kind of in the same boat.
Well, no, you.
I think what's good with us.
Go ahead, Lance.
I was going to say, I think what's good with us is like Ethan and Dustin. They're really good with the technical side of things. With the cameras, and the computers, and the editing. And then,
we're not savvy. Well,
I mean, you're a lot better than I am, and then everybody else they like to go out and film, whether it's self-filming or filming somebody else, and then we all just bombard Ethan and Dustin with all this footage and see what they can make of our jumbled stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and people don't
But
realize
it's fun.
I think what goes into some of that stuff. It's not easy, but the memories you capture, man, like it's priceless stuff, and it's so fun to share, and it's great to watch. I'm always looking for new YouTube channels to watch. A lot of these smart TVs have YouTube baked into them now, and so you can watch a lot of the stuff on your living room TV. I watch a lot of Connor Wakefield's stuff with the whitetail drifter too. And I like doing that because I like to see what he's got going on. He puts out more content than most. His ability to produce, he's like a one-man hunting public, essentially. I mean, they got a whole team. They're doing a lot of highly produced stuff, but he's all doing that from his iPhone. And it's really fun to follow along. It's not just like I'm watching this on my phone. I do that sometimes too, but every now and again, man, it's good to freaking just be on the couch and like take it in and really absorb it.
Yeah.
And so you guys are going to get out of my subscription list, and you'll be right on the same feed. And hopefully others will do the same.
Yeah.
There's definitely some good ones on there.
There are, but there's also
that's
some not good ones, and you end up liking the character and personalities of some of these guys and gals doing this stuff, and you kind of get drawn into that just as much as you do with the quality of their production as well as the content they're putting out and the deer they're hunting. A lot of times you buy into the people. Like there's no wonder Steve Rinella has such a big following. If Steve Rinella stopped doing Steve Rinella, people would probably stop giving a shit as much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another big...
Go ahead.
We're excited now.
Go ahead, Lance. I'm fired.
No, go ahead, Dustin.
No, daggone, I done forgot what I was going to say. That little mix-up. You go ahead, bud.
What I was going to say is I was just kind of chiming in what Eric had said, but I find myself, I subscribe to these guys, and I'll get a little notification, that they made a new video, and I was just agreeing. You get, if you kind of feel like you get to know them and you just enjoy their content,
Yeah, it's definitely like you said. A lot of times you just connect with personalities. I know I do that on a couple of YouTube channels. Like for instance, there's one YouTube channel that I kind of learned a lot of my camera basics and filming and stuff like that, and that's Peter McKinnon. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's not a hunting guy at all. He's from Canada, but he just likes to film and make cool videos. And I mean, he's a good dude to learn from. But that's where I learned all my camera stuff. And it's just his personality is just as soon as you meet him, you're like, dude, I'd like to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a lot of the stuff I listen to too is I listen to a lot of business stuff and things like that, and it's just good to learn, honestly.
Yeah. Ethan introduced me to the funny thing about this. Before I should even go on, is like podcasts. I didn't even know what they were really until just a couple months ago, and then Ethan was telling me about podcasts and Lance, and I'm like, I've never really heard of him. And then, and the funny thing is here, but Ethan was showing me old Joe Rogan's podcast, man. I think me and old Joe have a good time together. He's a goofball.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't know what a podcast was either, believe it or not. And I started this one back in 2013. I've been at it for a little while, and I remember getting my buddy's car, and he's a bit of a nerd. And he's always listening to something. I'm like, what station are you listening to? He's like, well, it's a podcast. I'm like, dude, I don't know what a podcast is. What are you talking about? It's like that scene of 40-Year-Old Virgin. He's like, I don't understand the words coming out of your mouth. I'm going to take offense to those words. And he's like, that's a podcast.
I broke Dustin in. I broke Dustin in good. We had 10 hours on the road this weekend together, so you got to listen to plenty.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of filming stuff and looking at YouTube channels that talk about that, I did a really, really, really granular, in-depth podcast with Sam Ubel of Chase Nation, another great channel. They're on Carbon TV. Episode 69 of our podcast, How to Film Your Hunts. And, I went to college for graphic design and web media, and I had to learn how to do a lot of video stuff. And the stuff you don't think about is even your file structure and how you label your videos so you can easily find them. Them. That's stuff that you know, they were teaching me in school, and I'm like, man, do I really got to label all this garbage? And then once you get in, you're like, yeah, I sure do, because if you don't, you're trying to visualize all this. And when you have that many hours of footage and that many segments, dude, you need to label it and categorize it and create a file structure for that stuff. So we talked a lot about that on that episode.
Actually, when I listened to that episode and I saved all the photos and from some cards and some videos, I done that exact same thing. I just kind of abbreviated what all that picture entailed or the video entailed, but that's where I got that was from that episode I heard.
That's good to know, man.
So
See, I don't even know people listen to this stuff.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and I mean, any other time you're just going to see numbers or video dash 185, stuff like that. And I'd heard that, and then I'm starting to stack all this stuff up, and I was like, man, I need to organize this somehow. So
Yep.
yeah, it's definitely going to help for sure, because you just keep adding to it, and then the next thing you know, you got all these numbers, and
then you start getting stressed out because maybe it doesn't save or something crashes. You're like, oh my God, I got to build this again or whatever, because shit happens, So you guys know, right? You're learning.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never wanted to punch my computer more than Sometimes you spend hours away from your family, just working on this video, and you're feeling it, and then all of a sudden, like, you hit some button or something like that, and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. It's like, oh, it'll trip my buttons pretty quick right there.
That's funny, man. Well, where do people find Akern Outdoors? How do they get to your YouTube channel, your Instagram, your Facebook? Spell it out for us so we know where to find you.
Akern Outdoors.
That'll get you on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys,
and I mean, we're just
with the website in the future, or is that on the docket, or you probably don't even need to worry about that?
Right. Oh, there ain't no telling what we'll do in the future. Like that's my side on things is you just keep doing something hard enough, long enough, and eventually you're gonna do something right, and you're gonna learn from the things you do wrong. So I got a buddy of mine that actually purchased a website. He bought the domain for us just so we could have it, because I don't know anything about this. He's talking about there's domain squatters, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, but thank you, man. So he actually did that, and I mean, we just don't really have anything right now that's going to go to that, but eventually, I'd like to come up with some merch and stuff like that, a couple hats, T-shirts, and whatever along the way, and we might, you never know where it'll go.
That's good, man.
I mean, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely. Just filming and having fun with it. I think that's our main focus. We don't want to lose sight of that, but it's definitely going to be fun to see where it goes.
It's definitely what, from my opinion, is we all pretty much grew up together. I know Lance is pretty new to the group, but as we get older, you get married, you got kids and stuff like that. You sometimes slowly fall apart. Well, by doing this with all of us friends and stuff like that, it really kind of just keeps us close, because we're always texting each other, throwing around ideas or something like that. Always having a meeting over at my house or something like that. And
we just barbecued the other day and all got together. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's always a good time when we hang out. So
that's cool. Well, I can't wait to follow along the season, guys. Thanks for your time away from your family and out of the deer woods, and your season starts right after mine, a day after. So let's continue to follow each other here and see where everything goes for us. We'll be happy to share the content and help get the word out there.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for having us, man.
Anytime.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Yep, we greatly appreciate it. So maybe we can get back together later on postseason and share some stories.
Hell yeah, guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm always down to talk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.